Today, we'll be looking at 10 scary and sometimes devastatingly tragic stories of animals eating people. Don't mess with a great white. Most people don't enjoy working during work breaks. Lisa Mundy, a wildlife tour, certainly didn't expect to encounter any wildlife when she was enjoying her lunch break in the sun. Unfortunately, a great white shark had other ideas. Lisa was wakeboarding when she missed her board and plunged into the water. 13-foot-long shark attacked her vertically and clamped his mouth on her head. The shark tried to drag Lisa underwater, but she was able to let loose because of her life jacket. So you could say that the life jacket really lived up to its name. Lisa survived with grievous injuries. Her face and neck were cut into tatters, and it took a 16-hour surgery to get her arm reattached. Thankfully, Lisa regained all feeling in her arm today. She's since recovered fully, and today works in a shark conservation center. Rather poetic, wouldn't you say? Surviving the hippo. When you think of hippopotami, you most likely don't think of aggressive animals who have the ability to be extraordinarily deadly. Well, that's because they have good PR. But what happens when the hype proves not to be real? Paul Templar, a river guide, was working with a group of tourists when this hippo emerged from under the Zambezi River and attacked his group. Meanwhile, a tourist named Evans got thrown into the water by the hippos, and Templar had to try to save him. He managed to grab hold of the tourist, but before he knew it, he was in the mouth of the animal. The hippo crushed Templar, threw him up, and shook him like a rag doll. Finally, the hippo dragged Templar to the depths of the river to drown him. Fortunately, the animal got tired and Templar was spat out. By then, he had gotten 40 puncture wounds and his arm was non-existent. Luckily for him, a team of surgeons were able to put him back together. Sadly, Evans died, and his body was found 2 days later. Wrestling a shark. Wrestling a shark is certainly not your idea of a fun time, but that was exactly what Vance Flozenzer had to do when his nephew was attacked by a shark. I trust you do the same. Jesse Arbogast was 8 years old in 2001 and had the fortune of playing with his family on Florida's Santa Rosa Island. Unfortunately, while playing in the shallow waters of the island with his cousin, Jesse was attacked by a bull shark. His parents were on the beach enjoying the sun when they heard Jesse's frenzied screams. It was at this moment that Jesse's uncle, Vance Flozenzer, sprung into action. He took to the water and immediately pulled the shark off of his nephew. It all happened so fast that it seemed like an action movie scene. Unfortunately, that's not the end to this incredible story. Vance was able to remove Jesse from the mouth of the shark, but Jesse's arm came off and got lodged in the throat of the shark. Now here's where the story gets incredible. While Vance's wife took the children off to safety, he held on to the shark and wrestled it to the beach. He did it because other children were in the area and he was scared that the shark could hurt them. Thankfully, park rangers came and killed the shark for good. Jesse's arm was retrieved from its throat and was reattached. Unfortunately, Jesse suffered permanent brain damage from the attack. The python, a farmer, and a tree. Ben Niambe, a farmer from South Africa, was tending to his livestock when he suddenly felt his feet step on a spongy thing. It turned out that the spongy thing was a python, and it immediately entangled Ben. Its plan was to constrict Ben till it suffocated. In a twist of fate, Ben bit the snake and struggled with it till he was able to get his arm free. With the free arm, he reached for his phone to call for help. While Ben was calling, the python was focused on other things, like dragging his prey up a tree. Incredibly, the snake was able to do just that. Help eventually arrived, and the snake and Ben dropped from the tree. Ben survived, but the snake managed to escape. Attacked by a bear. Bear hugs from people you love are amazing. Bear hugs from bears are definitely not as much fun. 46-year-old hunting guide Kutu Shaw was working at his job when he was attacked by a polar bear. The year was 2003, the location was Canada, and Shaw's life was in grave danger. The polar bear attacked Shaw's tent by opening a gigantic hole in the canvas. When he woke up, he decided to run away, but he tripped over a rock and fell. This made it easy for the bear to attack. Instead of killing Shaw right there, the bear dragged his prey by the toes to the edge of the ocean. What the bear did next is quite predictable. He sunk his claws into the back of Shaw and proceeded to tear off his scalp like paper. Thankfully, the cook of the group shot the polar bear before further damage was done. Shaw was transported to the hospital where he underwent over 13 hours of surgery and received about 300 stitches to reattach his scalp. The Old Man and the Cougar. 62-year-old Ed McLean wasn't particularly fond of human company. That's probably one of the reasons why he lived in a cabin 10 kilometers from the nearest human. One day, while chopping wood, he saw a cougar staring at him. Later that night, the cougar continued watching. Ed decided to turn off his lantern because he believed the light attracted the animal. Once the light went out, the animal attacked through the window and pounced. After a short wrestle, Ed was able to grab a knife and thrust it into the cougar's throat. He kept thrusting and twisting till the animal died. But this isn't the end of this remarkable story. Ed got out that night and rowed a boat for 2 hours till he got to the nearest human being he could find. When he got to the door of the closest cabin, he collapsed and passed out. He was laying there dying for 8 hours until he was found. It took surgeons a while to piece him back together, but he managed to survive the ordeal. The grandmother and the bear. Sue Aikens stayed alone in the Kavik River camp in Alaska. One morning in 2007, she went to the river to get water when she was attacked by a grizzly bear at the riverbank. After rolling her onto her back, it proceeded to bite a good chunk of her head. Instantly, Aikens remained stiff and submissive. She knew that the key to escaping a grizzly bear attack was not to resist. When the bear finally relented, she found her way back to the camp. That was where she patched herself up. Her wounds were quite serious. She had to sew sections of her scalp back on. But Aikens wasn't prepared to go silently into the dark night. She came back for the bear and made sure she killed it with a rifle. Gene Moe and the bear. Alaskan hunter Gene Moe was almost 70 when a brown bear attacked him. The bear attacked when Moe was busy skinning a deer, so he was caught by surprise. Ordinarily, Moe would have shot the bear with his rifle. However, the rifle was way too far away for him to grab. So what did Moe do? He did the one thing any thinking man would have done. He shoved a knife down the bear's throat as it clamped down on his arm. As the bear continued to nibble on the hand of Moe, the fight went on. The animal attacked Moe several times, and soon a chunk of Moe's leg was missing. But that didn't take the fight out of the hunter. When the bear thought to charge for the last time and take out Moe finally, a knuckle crashed into his nose and broke his snout. Moe had done it, although his knuckles had broken in the process. Afterwards, Gene Moe was able to stagger over 2 miles to find his hunting party. He spent a long time in the hospital, but was eventually patched back together. Double grizzly attack. In 2016, 50-year-old Todd Orr was out searching for elk when he walked into an open meadow. Here is where he met a bear and her cubs. Soon, Todd learned that there are only a few things more dangerous than a sow protecting her little ones. The bear charged at him, biting and beating him with reckless abandon. She stopped the onslaught for a while and disappeared into the bushes. Todd thought it was over, but the worst was yet to come. She soon appeared again and began attacking even more ferociously than before. She managed to slash Todd across the head with claws. Thankfully, despite in great pain and suffering from several puncture wounds, Todd was able to walk 45 minutes back to his track. He was then able to drive himself to the hospital, where he got 8 stitches for his troubles. The Wolves and the Last Stand. In the year 1922, there was a trapper working in Manitoba who went by the name of Ben Cochrane. One day, while working, he was approached by a pack of timber wolves. The closest human settlement was miles away, and Cochrane had only his mind, his heart, a rifle, and 2 bullets. He tried to scare the wolves away by firing his bullets, but they were determined not to leave. Cochrane then began his first act of an amazing but tragic story. He managed to kill 4 more wolves by using his rifle as a battering club. Unfortunately, the wolves eventually overpowered Cochrane, and he paid the ultimate price. He went out in a blaze of glory after single-handedly killing 11 wolves. And yes, that's the end of this video.